Okay, Coda, I got one more character for you. His name is Bloodwing, and he's the last of his species.
How original.
In the late 90s to early 2000s, it seems like everything got really edgy. From films to comics, everything got a thick coat of black or completely caked in mud. In recent years, it feels like everyone's strayed away from it, except for underground creators who help keep the aesthetic alive. One of the biggest players in this field is edgy characters. You know, ones with grit, ones that eat bowls of nails for breakfast, without any milk. But it seems to me that there is an abundance of edgy characters who lack a point. It's one of those things that you'll know feels off just by looking at them. Though it may be tough to identify what's making you cringe. So first we need to answer this question. What makes a character edgy? It seems like an obvious answer, but I think it's multifaceted. One of the first things to identify is if the character in question has a dark past. This is a common trope of edgy characters. Usually it'll be poorly written or thought out. Just nothing for the reader to sink their teeth into. One of the first things I think of are the SCP articles where half the page is redacted or missing crucial details. You've now taken what was originally a spice to use sparingly and coated the entire dish with it. When you go about writing a character who you know is going to be edgy, you have to still give him human traits. Small splashes of light in their otherwise dark personality. One of the first examples I think about is Foamy the Squirrel. He's angry, full of himself, and generally a dick. Yet he seems to also begrudgingly help the other characters in the show intersplice between his wild rants. He also takes time to indulge in silly hyper behavior as well. It's endearing to see and gives us something to cling to. You can get away with a lot of shit by being funny or generally likable. So when does edgy not work? Usually this comes down to a few factors. One of them being a lack of a point. Usually this comes in the form of a long lore dump explaining how the character is genetically modified from an alien species that was found on a dying planet. And now he's tasked with harvesting organs, otherwise his captors will kill him and the rest of the anthro population. You see? Completely worthless. I guarantee you zoned out while I was reading that description. But to my point, this is what we're trying to avoid. These long lore dumps are a huge source of eye rolling. You'd be better served by showing what happened to the character. It doesn't need to be text. You could just make one picture showing what happened and most people will get the gist. Another thing that could help is ensuring that the edgy parts of your character serve a purpose. We've all seen pointless edginess. I mean, look at the show Happy Tree Friends. I've never met someone who actually enjoyed the show. It's usually just people who remember it for being excessively gory and lacking anything of substance. You see, this is where the characters fall flat. It's all edge with no relief. You need some sort of levity to make your writing enjoyable. In some cases, it doesn't need to be anything crazy. In comics like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, we see him dealing with all these different emotions. Rather than focus on the murders he commits, it usually takes a back seat to the message the author is trying to get across. This is even talked about in the 5th issue, where one of his victims goes and questions his actions instead of just screaming and begging to be let go. It comes across as a more thoughtful approach to a character who appears to be one note. Now, why does edge appeal to some people? It feels wrong. Why would we want to be reminded of how horrible and cruel the world is? Isn't this supposed to be some sort of escapism? I think it stems from our interest in human stories. Most people you see on a daily basis have a long history you don't even know. From tragic losses to fantastic victories, it's interesting to find out how the sausage was made, gore and all. We grow more attached to the character the more they suffer and overcome. But there's definitely a line that shouldn't be crossed. It's when the backstory becomes so overwhelming that we can't even take the character seriously. The only way it could work is if we saw what the character went through. And again, I think it mostly appeals to us because we've been following the character for long enough to excuse their faults. Okay, I think I got it figured out. Everyone called the last character edgy, so look at this. See? No more edges.
I don't think you understand what that means.
It seems like edginess only appeals to one demographic. Scene kids and weirdos like me. I always enjoy seeing how far you can truly push a character, even to the point of having them permanently die just to establish the stakes of a plot. It feels like it comes in waves though. We get edgy and we want dark, gritty entertainment for a while. Then we get bored and we want some fun, lighthearted stuff. But by mixing both ideas, we can get something that will appeal to you timelessly. So how do you implement edginess into a character? Usually I like it when a character is balanced. The traits that make them edgy aren't at the forefront. Or, if they are, it serves a purpose to the story. Your character shouldn't be killing for no reason. You need to give them a proper motivation, even if it is as simple as someone being rude to them. It gives your character a point and makes them more impactful when they do something uncharacteristic. It's like a seasoning. If you add too much of one ingredient, that's all you're going to taste. But if you mix a few together, you'll create something unforgettable. Now we have to talk about the tone of your character and their world. Tone plays a huge part in making your character feel alive, and subsequently, it can also make or break your character. If your character is a manic mess, it might be a good idea to make the art and environment reflect their personality. It would look a little odd to see someone having a panic attack in a clean, bright pink room. It kinda doesn't fit. Now this also plays a part in your style as well. Your style needs to feel correct for the universe you're making. In some cases, an artist will go way beyond their limits and you'll get a comic like Control-Alt-Delete. What the creator was trying to do was ambitious to say the least, but it fell flat because the tone of the writing clashed with the style of the series. The creator tried to implement serious story beats culminating in the female character having a miscarriage. It's where the Lost meme comes from. Just a lack of self-awareness. It's actually gotten bad enough that the entire catalog of comics is remembered in infamy. That's what we're all trying to avoid as creators, right? We don't want our mistakes to characterize our entire body of work. The last thing to talk about is execution. If it doesn't look good or is poorly written, it comes across as the mad ramblings of an angsty teen with way too much time on their hands. It would be pretty hard to take a job application seriously if it was written in purple crayon. And it's the same when you make your characters. Nobody's going to take your character drama seriously if it's made with stupid designs that distract from the story. It seems pretty obvious, but you never know. I've seen way too many stories that revolve around edgy topics than the main character looks like fucking Hello Kitty.
What the hell happened to you?
I think I figured it out. I ate a bunch of strawberries.
Oh, thank God.
And then I killed the mailman.
Oh, God damn it.
Edgy characters can work, so long as you're willing to think about their universe and give them a real personality beyond their edginess. It's like salt. If you put too much in, it's all you're gonna taste. You should ensure that your characters strike a good balance. If you're thinking about giving them edgy traits, you should throw in a few positive traits as well. In conclusion, I'm edging right now. Eat a cinder block.